G'day guys, this is Tyr and welcome back to another Fallout 76 video. In today's one I'm going to be taking a look at the explosive projectiles that the Gauss weapons fire, and then I'll be comparing them to the regular explosive projectiles that is used for every other weapon in the game. So stay tuned if this is a subject that interests you. I'll be explaining everything you need to know, so let's get into it. Okay, for starters, to clarify, this video will be directly comparing the explosive legendary effect that all weapons use in this game, and comparing it towards the inherently natural explosive effect that all Gauss weapons now use, as well as I'll be mentioning some outliers that may need further explaining. I'll be comparing damage with files from the actual game itself, courtesy of the good folks over at the Fallout 76 data mining Discord, and I'll be seeing just how deep the rabbit hole goes and if there are any major differences that you should be aware of. Spoiler alert, there absolutely are. So for starters, I'll briefly explain how the weapon explosion effects work in this game. It's basically just a small damage boost localized as an area of effect from your weapon projectiles. And the damage boost that this AoE will receive is dependent from your weapon's base damage, as the explosive effect takes a percentage of the base damage of your weapon and redistributes that as the AoE explosion's damage. And this damage percentage increase is actually where the key differences in these effects lie. So now we will start off very simple and take a look at the regular explosive legendary effect. So this is obviously acquirable on quite a few guns, from the 44 pistol to the minigun to the combat rifle. And in all of these weapons, it just simply takes the base Pip-Boy damage and uses 20% of that damage as an area of effect attack on our weapon's projectiles. So for example, if we have an explosive combat rifle that does 100 damage, then we will do 100 damage to an enemy, as well as 20 explosive damage from the explosion effect in a small, localized area, assuming of course the enemy we are testing on has no damage resistance. So yeah, that's the way this legendary effect should work. It does 20% explosive damage, which is taken from the weapon's base damage, and this is how it's meant to work. However, there are some outliers with this in the form of legacy weapons. I'm not going to get into how they function in this video, as I've already covered that topic in a 46-minute long video beforehand. However, I will mention that legacies deal 100% explosive damage. So yeah, check out that video if you're interested in learning more about legacies. But now onto the subject of the Gauss weaponry and their natural blue explosive effect. So basically, this is kind of a hidden legendary effect that is completely unique to the Gauss rifles, pistols, and to an extent the Gauss shotguns as well. The Gauss explosive effect just naturally spawns on all Gauss weapons, and besides looking visually distinct from the explosive effect we are used to, it does actually function a little bit differently as well, mainly in the case of damage output. So basically, instead of dealing 20% explosive damage like we are used to on regular weapons, all Gauss explosive effects actually deal only 15% explosive damage. And this is again, 15% explosive damage taken straight from the weapon's base damage. And I'm certain that the reason this explosion is 5% lower than the regular legendary effects is simply because, well, Gauss weapons are single shot in nature and are very powerful. They have such a large base damage value, especially when fully charged. So much so that I think Bethesda thought it was a smart idea to tone down the explosive damage by 5%. Personally, I don't think it makes a big difference, as the higher base damage from the Gauss weapons certainly makes up for the 5% loss in damage. So yeah, just to recap on what we've spoken about so far, regular explosive weapons deal 20% explosive damage from the weapon's base damage. Gauss rifles and Gauss pistols deal 15% explosive damage from the weapon's base damage. And well, legacies deal 100% explosive damage from the weapon's base damage. So now we are going to get into the territory of shotguns and Gauss shotguns. Now these are a different kettle of fish when you look at how they work from inside the game files. And I think I should start off by talking about the explosive effect on regular shotguns. Basically, shotguns spawn with a completely different explosive legendary effect that is unique to only shotguns. All shotguns have this, and only shotguns. Basically, the way it works is that all explosive shotguns like the combat shotgun, the double barrel, and the pump action all deal 3% explosive damage. But this effect is unique because it is actually 3% explosive damage per projectile. And since there are 8 projectiles being fired from shotguns, That means if all projectiles hit the target, then we are getting in total 24% extra explosive damage, which again is derived from the weapon's base damage. And this is why it is so important for shotgun users to hit their shots and make sure all the pellets hit the target, especially if using an explosive shotgun, because depending on how many pellets hit the target, then you could be doing any number of explosive damage between 3% and 24%, which is a very noticeable difference. And also, it is handy to know that the unique explosive legendary effect that spawns on these shotguns is the only explosive effect in the game that has a damage drop-off system. What this means is that you will do more damage up close to an enemy with the explosive effects than you would do if you were further away, which I personally think is pretty cool and a nice touch to add to a weapon that is supposed to be used for close quarter combat situations to begin with. And then finally we are going to be talking about the Gauss shotguns. Now this one is a little bit broken at the moment, and I'm pretty sure it will be changed at some point in the future, so this information may change. But basically the way Gauss shotguns function at this moment is that they work the exact same way that Gauss rifles and pistols work, meaning they do 15% explosive damage, which is taken from the weapon's base damage. Except there's one tinsy little problem with that. Yeah, Gauss shotguns fire 8 projectiles since they're a shotgun, meaning if it's using the same effect that the Gauss rifle and pistol use, then that means that the Gauss shotguns are getting 15% explosive damage per projectile. And basically, simple math, 15 multiplied by 8 is 120. So yeah, at this current point in time, Gauss shotguns are dealing 120% extra explosive damage in total, which is clearly unintentional given Bethesda's track record where they have fixed the way that the other shotguns previously functioned and how they brought all other explosive effects on ballistic weapons from 100% down to what we currently have at 20%. And I'm actually theorizing that this is the reason that Gauss shotguns and Gauss weapons in general got nerfed so hard recently, because Bethesda didn't know where all this extra damage was coming from, so they just decided to nerf the Gauss shotguns and make them do next to 0 damage unless you fully charge the weapons. That's just a theory I have of why the Gauss weapons were nerfed so hard. So yeah, I hope Bethesda realizes their mistake on this one and properly outfits the Gauss shotgun with a proper explosive effect so that they can undo the ridiculous Gauss damage charging nerf thing that they did recently. Alright, and that's that. Just a quick recap for everyone. The regular explosive legendary effect deals 20% explosive damage. The Gauss rifle and Gauss pistols explosive effect deals 15% explosive damage. Legacy weapons deal 100% explosive damage, and in some cases 500% explosive damage due to the beam splitters being modded onto them. The explosive shotgun legendary effect deals 3% explosive damage per projectile, totaling 24% explosive damage, and also keep in mind that this effect also has a damage drop-off system implemented into it. And then finally, for the moment, Gauss shotguns deal 15% explosive damage per projectile, totaling 120% extra explosive damage, but I think that this might be changed in the future to be more similar to the regular explosive shotgun legendary effect. Who knows, they might just do the exact same thing and make Gauss shotguns deal 3% explosive damage per projectile, totaling 24% as well, which wouldn't be bad if they fixed Gauss weapons so that they actually did damage. But then that would be okay in my opinion, but I guess until then, this is just the way it works. Also, keep in mind before the video ends that these damage percentages are taken from the base damage of its host weapon. So yeah, this information is out there for all of you to absorb, and you can now better make your weapon choices more informed. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. A massive shout out to all my current channel members and Patreons. Thank you all so much for your continued support on the channel. A friendly reminder to follow my social medias in the description below, and be sure to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed. I've been Tyr, and I'll catch us in the next one. Welcome to Valhalla.